Good morning. Welcome to another Monday Mindset. What do you do when you feel like crap? When you feel unmotivated? Because I know we all go through that. When you feel unmotivated, you feel like crap. What do you do? How do you get out of that rut? Today, I want to talk about that. So would love to hear your thoughts in the chat. I'm going to give you a few things that I shifted in my life to help me build in, I call them like frameworks or processes or thought patterns to help shift me out of feeling unmotivated or feeling like crap to getting into a better place. So we're going to talk about that today. I'll see you on the other side of this intro. Wow, it's one of those days. Welcome to Monday Mindset. Let's go.
There are no bad businesses. There are just those people who don't know enough to see the opportunities in the work they're in. If there seems to be no future or opportunity in it, it isn't always because it's not there, but perhaps only because we can't see it.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Joe, good to see you. Melissa, good to see you as always. Excited, I think that's Daniel there because I saw it on the Facebook side, to allow StreamYard to see your comments so I can put them up on the screen like I'm just doing Joe's right now. I think you go to facebook.com/StreamYard, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Joe chatted in if I'm wrong. But facebook.com/StreamYard to allow Facebook to see your comments here. But good morning, everyone. It's another Monday Mindset. Those who are joining on Instagram, good morning. Just have a few thoughts for you today. What do you do when you feel like crap? Maybe you find yourself there this morning. I told my wife physically I felt like crap this morning, where it was just like, yesterday I didn't eat very well. Today I wasn't able to go to the gym. That's probably an excuse. I probably could have gone to the gym, but everything that I had going on, I gave myself an excuse and I didn't go. So hold me accountable for that. So, didn't feel the greatest today physically, but how do you overcome when you're unmotivated? How do you overcome when you don't have the inspiration to push through and then you physically maybe feel like crap? And how do you overcome that? And in my journey of building my company, there's been very many days and weeks where I have felt unmotivated, believe it or not. I know you're shocked. You're like, Luke, how can you feel unmotivated? No, there's very many days that I'm just like, I do not want to do this. Or you feel kind of out on an island, or you wonder and question if you're doing the right thing. And how do you push through? And I wrote down just some thoughts that have helped me in my journey of trying to deal with being unmotivated or not feeling it on a certain day, because it doesn't matter how you feel to be a top performer, as we all know. If you want to be in the 1% in this life, what does that mean? You can't live like the 99%. So where the 99% give into their feelings of feeling like crap, feeling unmotivated, that's what they do. That's not what you can do. If you want to be in the top 1%, I think it was Dave Ramsey, forget his financial advice, whatever you think about that. But one thing he said that I thought was so true, if you want to live like no one else, then you must live like no one else. Meaning it's going to take a amount of discipline and rigor and fortitude and the ability to push yourself through the bad days that's going to actually make up the good days. But here are some frameworks or thought processes that I go through when it comes to feeling unmotivated to hopefully help shift your perspective this morning. One is when you feel like crap, you wake up, you feel like crap, take some time and embrace that feeling. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but if you feel down, if you get punched in the gut, don't be afraid to embrace that feeling and actually vent and actually play the victim in that feeling. Now, that's probably blowing some of your minds right now, going, wait, play the victim? I thought we're supposed to be victors, not playing in victimhood. What I have found over the years is I used to not play the victim at all. I used to tell myself, hey, tough it out. Don't think about that. Compartmentalize, take those thoughts, stuff it in a chest, lock the door, the chest, kick it away, never think about it again. And the problem with that is you never truly can get rid of feelings until you have dealt with them. At least this is what I found. Now, again, granted, caveat, this is just Luke Acree's opinion. But I actually find that sometimes when you get punched in the gut, sometimes when you have a bad day, sometimes, guess what? You need a lazy Saturday to allow yourself to feel that. And I know that seems crazy. Sometimes you need to give yourself that time to vent, to feel that frustration, to get out all of your excuses and to get out all the things that you want to blame and to play the victim a little bit so you can feel that. And that allows you to process the feelings. And then I say, put those feelings aside and never think about them again, because even though you might feel it, you know it doesn't help you get there. But I have found if you always suppress your emotions, if you always suppress those feelings, at least in my own life, then it actually doesn't help you, because what happens is it's kind of like you're just stacking all these things on you. It's kind of, if I was giving a comparison, it's, when someone offends you, you have to deal with that offense. You can't just ignore it. You got to go talk to them because you got to go through the process of forgiveness. It doesn't mean you're forgetting what they did to you, but you're forgiving. And I think it was the quote that says, when you forgive somebody, you're letting the prisoner free. And you realize that the prisoner was you. And so I think you have to deal with things like offenses, deal with things like bad days happening to you by, hey, why do I feel this way? If you need to sulk a little bit, sulk a little bit. If you need a lazy Saturday, you can take a lazy Saturday. It won't kill you. And I'll tell you why in a second. But you got to deal with it before you can move forward. So that maybe is a counter intuitive thing that people would think I would say, but I would tell you that's one thing I've learned in maturing to understand. Second thing that I realized when it comes to feeling about crap, and these aren't in priority, so it's not like one is greater than the other, but if you want to change your psychology and how you're feeling, how you're thinking, you got to change your physiology. Right? This is a big Tony Robbins thing. If you guys follow Tony Robbins, you can change your state by changing your physiology. So I would encourage you, though I'm a hypocrite right now because I didn't go to the gym this morning. I'll probably hit it maybe later tonight. But if you can change your physiology, it has so much power on changing your psychology because of the pure just chemicals that fire once you work out and getting those endorphins to fire and getting out there and getting, movement. Even Tony teaches, and I teach my sales team this. Do you ever just look in the mirror and just smile? Just smile at yourself. Just hold a smile for literally a minute. I mean, I challenge you, just hold a smile for a minute. Or have yourself get up and take big, deep breaths. Pull back your shoulders, right? Because when you're depressed, when you're discouraged, what do? You tend to lean over, right? You tend to hunch down. You tend to talk really soft. You tend to take shallow breaths. Change your physical state. Shoulders back, smile on your face, big breaths, no matter how you're feeling internally, and then work out, right? Get some movement, start sweating. You'll be amazed what it will do to your psychology. Then the third thing I would challenge you to do if you feel like crap, you feel unmotivated, is think about your perspective, right? Perspective is how you see the world. We all have our glasses that we put on and we see the world through those glasses. And those glasses oftentimes are from our experiences in life. Right? So what's ever happened to you in the journey of your life, that's how you see the world. And I'm not saying that your perspective is wrong. Your perspective is your reality. But if you want to change your life, you got to control your perspective and you got to see things through a different way. And I know all this because I go to church. And one of the things at church that we get the privilege to see a lot of times is the testimony of people, whether it's the mission trips that are happening or the ministry that we are a part of in our church is called the Table Ministry, where we go down to Kensington in Philadelphia. And if anybody's familiar with Philly and Kensington in the area there, it's a really rough area. A lot of drug addicted people, a lot of homeless people. And I'll tell you something that can shift your perspective immediately when you feel like crap, when you feel unmotivated, when you feel uninspired, is to realize that, wow, there are people that have it worse off than you. and you are blessed. And just the ability to wake up today, to the ability, like it's raining here in Philadelphia and it's all cold, right? The ability to be in a warm house, the ability to be with people that I love, and to be able to walk and talk and do all the things that I do, that can instantly, that art of gratitude, that art of appreciation, that art of recognizing what you have, can shift your perspective, that can change the way you feel, that can change your motivation. And often what I share with people is that if you want to live a fulfilled life, it's a life through giving, right? You want an amazing life, give a life of giving, or have a life of giving, and you will have an amazing life, because the principle, it's better to give than to receive, is so true. So whenever you feel down and out, go help somebody. Whenever you feel unmotivated, remind yourself of who you're helping in your business and in your life. And I guarantee you, it will shift you a little bit. It might not be the end all be all, but it can help shift your perspective. Remember, here's one perspective that I'll shift in you today, is that you are in a marathon, as they say, not a sprint. You're playing, if you're a follower of Simon Sinek, he talks about the infinite game versus a finite game. And he says the best businesses in the world, they understand the game they're playing. It's an infinite game, not a finite game, right? And Layla and Alex Hormozy talk about how marriage, right, it's the goal of the game is just to stay married, right? The goal of the game in health is to stay healthy. And it's not like this finite where it's like a block of certain amount of time that you're trying to do. And dieting, right? They call that the yo-yo diet, when you just do, and I'm guilty of this. You do the 75 hard and you do it well for 75 days. And then you totally get off that train and you get back to being unhealthy. That's not what you want to do. You want to have the perspective of you're playing an infinite game. And when you understand you're playing an infinite game, here's what it helps me the most in, is one of the biggest thieves of joy in your life. What steals your joy, which plays into feeling like crap and feeling unmotivated, is comparison. And when you realize that you're in an infinite game, then it helps you not play the game of comparison, because someone's today is different than your today, right? Their history is different than your history. And so when you're doing an infinite game, you realize, hey, I'm not going to be comparing myself to the other business, the other company. You know, it's good to maybe activate your prey drive every once in a while to get you motivated from a competition standpoint. But ultimately, if you sit there and just constantly looking at what other people have and where other people are at, it can rob you from your joy. So you need the perspective of like, hey, I'm in an infinite game. This is not a sprint. It's a marathon made up of many, many little sprints, as they say. And so that's another thing I would share with you. And then last but not least, and you guys probably hear this all the time, but very few people, when they hear something, they apply it. And so I just want to challenge you, man, be a doer, apply this. You know, there's 4 pillars in my view of your life. You got really your body, mind, spirit, and soul. And I always share with people that if something is not going right in your life, look to one of those pillars. Look to one of those pillars and ask yourself, if you feel like crap, remember, I used to be a musician, and when we would record in the studio, there was this concept in recording that you can't fix a bad sound post. Meaning, if the guitar sounds crappy going in, it's going to be crappy, and there's only so much you can do with it, with effects, to make it sound good. And so the best engineers, sound engineers, they work really hard at getting a great input, because they know whatever you put in, that's what you're going to be able to give out. And so I would challenge you, hey, in your body, mind, spirit, and soul, what are you feeding yourself? What are you putting in? And that takes rigor. That's been my word of the year. I interviewed the CEO, the guy who ran the business unit for Bye Bye Baby. And in talking to him, he used this word rigor, and he was explaining it to me. And I knew the idea of rigor, but he explained it to me in the art of business. And I was like, it resonated with me so much that in life, often what we miss is not the knowledge. It's not even the execution one time. It's in the rigor or the discipline to stay at it time and time and time again. And I think to myself today, you know, hey, why did I physically feel not the best today? Well, when I look at what happened yesterday, I didn't drink enough water. I didn't eat hardly anything good. I ate brisket and Oreo balls at night. I drank a glass of wine. I didn't do that. I didn't go to bed early. When I woke up this morning, I didn't go to the gym. And then I wonder, well, Luke, why do you physically not feel as great as you should today? Because you didn't have the rigor to stay disciplined, to eat healthy, drink your water, get to the gym, go to bed on time. You didn't do that yesterday. So the consequences of that today is this. So don't sit here and lie to yourself. You know why it is. You just need to implement the things that you know and have the rigor to do it. But I would challenge you, if you feel unmotivated today, what have you been feeding your mind? What have you been feeding your body? What have you been feeding your spirit? What have you been feeding your soul? Because those things are what make up who you are. And then last but not least, the last thing, and here's what I would share with you guys as we wrap up, right, is that the most powerful thing I think you can do instantaneously to be able to change your motivation is to change your environment, right? So if you think about, if you put a flower in the desert, it will die. If you put a flower in good soil, it will blossom. That saying, you are a product oftentimes of your environment. And if you need some motivation in your life, you need to look at your environment. And the environment a lot of times is who you surround yourself with. So you're the sum of who you surround yourself with, but it's also who you're listening to, like I talked about, what you're watching, what you're inputting, what is the environment that you have yourself in. And if you want to change, you got to change that environment. And sometimes it's got to be radical. Sometimes you got to pull yourself out of the environment you're in to go stick yourself in another environment. And oftentimes what I tell people, which they don't want to hear, is there are some people in your life right now that should not be in your life. At the very least, they should have a very guarded piece of your life, meaning you don't let them in to affect your thoughts, to pull down your energy. There are so many negative people. I think Albert Einstein said this: stay away from negative people. They have a problem for every solution. Right? So you need to get away from the negative people in your life that are draining your energy because they bring you down and they take from you, and you can't give from an empty cup. You've got to get around environments that build you up, that allow you to put on this armor every single day, that when you can go out into the world, those negative people you can impact positively because you're shielded. You've been filled up. Your cup is overflowing because you're placing yourself in environments that build you up and don't tear you down. So if you feel unmotivated today, if you feel uninspired, if you feel like crap, which we all do on certain days, those are a few things, a few frameworks that help me in my life that I try to point to. But it all ultimately comes down to this: is you can have the knowledge without execution and the rigor to see it through every single day. You will not succeed. But remember, you're in an infinite game, not a finite game. So you're going to have ups and downs. We all fail. The key is to keep chasing it, to get better every single day, to remind yourself every single day, to put yourself in an environment with people like this on the chats, on the Instagrams that want the same thing, that build you up, because that's the difference maker. So hope you guys have an incredible Monday. Thank you for tuning in. And get out there and win for you, for your clients, for your family. Appreciate you guys. Let's have a great one. Let's crush it this week.